What's up, Inspire Youth and anyone else who is watching? I hope you're having a great day. Here at Inspire Youth, we are so excited to announce that we're going to be uploading weekly YouTube videos. We're going to be uploading vlogs, interviews, games, challenges, and all sorts. And today we're uploading the video that you're currently watching, a conversation with my friend Leonardo Torres. He's a YouTuber slash musician, and he has gained a mass following with a current subscriber count of 21.6k because of his reaction videos to Christian worship. Without further ado, join me for a conversation with my friend Leonardo Torres. Welcome, Leonardo. How are you?
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Sitting here and having a wonderful chat with you. How are you?
That's so good. I was literally going to film like an intro to this video, like describing who you were and like your subscriber count. But then I realized your subscriber count's going up so much that I was like, oh, I have to film it today. Because it was at 20,000 yesterday, and now it's at like 21,000 last time I checked.
Yeah.
How's that been? Has it been a bit overwhelming how fast it's going up?
It got to, well, actually, honestly, not now, but when it first started to grow, because I started originally with 14 subscribers on the channel right before the 26th of April. And then right when I was hitting like 3,000, almost 4,000, I started to freak out a little bit because I started to get all the messages, I was still able to keep up with all the comments, on YouTube. And then all of a sudden it was just like doubling, like all the comments were just multiplying. And then people started messaging me on Instagram and messaging me on Facebook too, and email. So I'm doing the best that I can to respond to everybody. But at this point, it's
too hard.
Yeah, it's too hard.
Well, lucky I've got a little icebreaker for you that's going to help you with that in just a second. But before we get into that, explain who you are for the people that don't know you and what you do.
All right. Well, my name is Leonardo Torres. I am in California, USA, and I'm a guitarist, singer, and music lover, as I say in every video. And what I've done is I've just spent a lot of hours listening to music and studying the music and separating sounds. So what I do is I do reaction videos on YouTube for music, and particularly music I haven't heard yet. So I take requests from people. I don't listen to it beforehand, so that the reaction could be raw, and so you can see that I'm reacting to every sound that I make. And then I just I give it the rating, and then I let the fans or the subscribers do the rest.
Awesome. So I've been watching Leonardo's videos, kind of binging all of the videos. Discovered him maybe like a month ago. So definitely check him out. We're going to be putting his link in the description below because his videos are phenomenal. And he comes as such a humble, genuine person, which I love, and it's so easy to connect with you. And I'm passionate about music, so it's just so fun to watch you react to every little second of songs. But what caught my eye was when you started reacting to Christian music. And so my personal favorites have been So Will I and As You Find Me, because those are like some of my favorite songs, and they've moved me in my life. But as I said before, because you're so popular now, 21k, that's so awesome. You said you can't react to all these comments, so you react to videos. So now I'm going to get you to react to comments of yours on your YouTube videos.
Okay.
And so I try to find some comments where you haven't liked or anything, so maybe you haven't seen them before.
Okay.
And so I picked out some comments, and I'm just going to get your reaction from them because it's some pretty awesome comments. And then hopefully maybe some of your fans will see this.
Awesome. Yeah.
So the first comment is, Christian praise music was the farthest from me on my list of music to listen to. I never listened to it. Now all other music seems to lack the feeling I get from Christian music. That's the comment. What's your reaction to that sort of comment?
Well, that's great. All I want is for people to fall in love with music. It doesn't really matter what kind of music it is. I believe, on a spiritual level, I believe that the Great Spirit is as what I call God or Father, is what you know him as. I believe that the Great Spirit has a lot of messages throughout music. I think it's the most sacred thing that exists for human beings, and God has something to say through every style of music, even the heavy stuff. Speaks
Yeah.
to lower emotions, and eventually that we use to emote and we use to rise above. So I'm glad that this person has found something new that makes them feel great. Doesn't matter what it is. I'm glad.
Yeah, awesome. The next comment says, first time hearing this and definitely playing it when my students return to class this Wednesday. And so I think that date was today as well. So I'm assuming they're a teacher and they're playing one of these worship songs. I think it was the Kaleidoscope one, which was an awesome video. So fun.
Yeah.
But yeah. So they're playing it to their students in class. What do you think of that?
Well, man, the music the videos have made it to places I couldn't even imagine they were going to make it, like they've been on the radio, people talking about it in the radio. I've been reached by pastors who said that they've made some of the songs or some of my videos as part of their sermon, which I could never imagine. I always imagined that if they spoke to me and spoke to their followers about me in church, it was going to be something bad, So, but that makes me happy because, like I said, I just want to spread the music, and if they're spreading music to students, and the students are learning to see music in a different way, that excites me, because I think music is going to be one of the things that's going to get us out of this chaos that we're living in currently.
Definitely. Yeah, it's definitely working. Have you heard any of these comments before, or seen them, or rings a bell?
No.
Good. We're reacting to raw reaction.
Yeah.
Okay, next comment says, this is a beautiful example of how God reaches out to us where we are. Your language is music, and God is using it to come after you hard. He loves you and he wants you, my brother, praying for you. So I love how they say that your language is music, because that's 100% true. And I've heard you say that. Would you say that's true yourself?
Yeah, I would say that. I speak music.
Yeah, fluent.
Well, it's more or less, yeah. I understand it. Let's just say I understand it. I can't write it or read it, but I do speak it, and I do understand it.
That's same with me.
Yeah.
This one, next comment, I kind of found a bit funny. They said, I was scared to see the comments, but everyone is so kind. So I found that even scrolling through your comments, most videos, get the odd troll person or, person sending some negative stuff, but scroll through, I couldn't even find any negative comment. And I love that they said that, because everyone is so kind and encouraging in your comments, and you've made this community of not even just Christians, but people who are just loving it and just there to love music and be kind and encourage and stir each other up. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, I love it. I think I've only seen 2 negative comments, and it was because of my description that says non-Christian reaction. And I think some people thought I was using it for clickbait. And so they were like, you don't have to add that, but I just said, hey, thanks for your opinion. I took it off for a few videos, but then some people were actually commenting like, hey, why did you take that off? That's what actually attracted me to get it. And so, and then I received, I don't know if you saw on my Instagram stories, I received the email from someone who's an atheist who said that they were afraid to explore the music, but that I had kind of sort of helped them, sort of showed them that it was okay to explore the music and enjoy the music without their identity as an atheist to be jeopardized. And so I just added it back on, because I thought, hey, it's going to touch everybody. It's going to touch everything. So
yeah, that's awesome. So good.
So yeah, no negative comments. I love it. Positivity is all I'm spreading. So
yeah, and you're definitely building a good community for that, which is awesome. And the last comment I got is, as someone who's grown up with Christian music, many songs can seem overly similar and repetitive, but this is one I've loved. It's awesome to observe it through a different lens as you break down all the aspects that make it great. Not sure how I stumbled on your videos, but I'll definitely keep watching.
Awesome. That's what we want. We want people to watch, and we want them to stay, and to enjoy the music and to see something new, to love it. I want people to fall in love with music. I want people to see the music differently. And one way to do that is to point out little sections of the music that stands out. And I hope that what people are doing is they're going to the original, putting on some good headphones, going back to the original, and just try to get into that space that I'm in when I'm listening to the music, and enjoying it from all levels.
Come on. Yeah, that's so awesome. I love how they said putting a different lens on, because I feel like that's what you do for especially Christians as well, because I think you're impacting like everyone, whether they're non-Christian or of a different religion even, and but even Christians, because we play these worship songs every Sunday, or like youth group on Friday, things like that, and so we can easily get comfortable and like kind of miss the amazing, like, I guess, the power behind this music. And so I feel like you give a different lens for even us Christians to kind of come into that space where we're like, oh, I have gotten comfortable about this, and not, we're kind of taking it for granted. So you've really kind of helped us a lot in our own community, is to really challenge us to listen to this again, and in a new lens and a different perspective, if that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense, and I'm actually happy that you brought that up, because I think this is the first time I'm actually going to say it, that I encourage everyone to keep that lens and not just look at music that way, but look at life that way, and to maybe see what parts of your life have sort of become sort of numb, or monotonous. I don't even know. I've never used that word, but I think I'm using it correctly.
Yeah.
And see if you can look at it, if you can look at it in a different lens, because sometimes, we're with our partner and we feel like we know them because we see them every day. So we don't see the growth. And if you learn to look at that person as someone fresh and someone new, and say, hey, like, just inquire more into them, and you'll see that there's so much more to learn. And then, eventually, essentially falling in love with them again. You can you look at your job that way. Look at a friend that maybe did something wrong to you, or harmed you in some way, that you haven't spoken to them in a while, but then maybe you haven't realized that was 10 years ago, and maybe they're a new person today, and so maybe you can reach out to them and see them with that new lens. So yeah.
All right, preach it. It's so good. I'm already inspired, already encouraged. But
awesome.
What inspired you to start your YouTube, and I guess start reacting to Christian music even? What made you start?
I was pushed by the Great Spirit to do it. If I, honestly, the story, I'll give you like a condensed version of it. But about a year and a half ago, I saw a reaction video to these two black men who were they were into hip hop, but they were reviewing my favorite music, which is like rock, right? So they were reviewing like Incubus, Deftones, Metallica, all these artists, and they were just giving their hip hop view. So it was new to them, and I thought that's really cool. Like I would love to like, if I like, and they weren't even touching on the music, but I said like, hey, I love music. Maybe one day I'll do a review, like a reaction videos, to music that I love. I intended it to be music that I love, but that idea, like, it just disappeared in the back of my head. But most recently, I met someone, and my girlfriend, she's Christian, and she plays the music in the background sometimes, where we're talking, either like video chatting, or if I go and hang out, she'll play it in the background. And one day I was hanging out with her, and there was a song that was playing. It was Oceans, and it was just playing in the background, and that little melody just stuck with me, And as I was leaving, I said, hey, but by the way, that song that was earlier, the one that I pointed out, I go, what is the name of that song? And she's like, it's Oceans. And I was like, well, it didn't sound like it said anything that resembled Oceans. I go, okay. So I got in my car, I listened to it, but it didn't sound like it, because the part that I heard was the ending, the Spirit lead me where my thought, right? It was the last part. So I didn't hear it like minutes into the song, and I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't sound right. So I turned it off, and then I listened to a different music, but I was sitting in my room one day, sort of like kind of worried about this whole COVID thing, because this whole COVID situation put a really fast halt on my income, really, because I perform, and so no one's hiring me to play anywhere, no restaurants, no houses, nothing. Everybody's like quarantined. So I had this sort of warm feeling in the pit of my stomach that speaks to me. That's how I think how the Great Spirit speaks to me, and was asking me like, okay, so what do you want to do? Like, what do you want to, like, tell me, and I'll help you. In essence, is pretty much what I was saying. And I was like, well, I want to do something with music. And he said, okay, well, that's kind of vague. Can you specify a little bit more? And so I was like, well, I'd like to be a music critic one day, maybe get people to send me their demos and ask me to sort of, leave notes on each song, and how I would rearrange it, what parts I would add. And I was excited to just to envision that, what it would feel like, And it was like, well, okay, well then remember those reaction videos, just get started then. And I'm like, I've never made a reaction video like ever in my life. And they're like, and that feeling was just like, just do it, and I'll take care of the rest. And I'm like, but how do I start? And it was like that song. And so it's like kind of almost like it played it in my head, like spiritually. And it was like a thump, on my forehead saying, don't you get it? I'm spirit. I'm trying to lead you where your trust is without borders, but you're fighting me on this. Just trust me. Don't ask anything. You don't have to build, just do your part, is just to film it and upload it, and I'll take care of the rest. And so I was like, all right. I set up my phone, I recorded it. I had no idea what I was doing. I was just, improvising really on the layout and everything. And if you notice the first video to the video that I posted earlier today, it's very different. Like it's, I kind of already have like a set system, of uploading and all that. And anyway, to make a long story longer, yeah, it was just something that was just pushed from within. So like when I hear these comments that say like, oh, well, God is calling me, what they don't realize is that it's not that God is like calling me from the outside. It was that God was like sort of pushed me from behind, So it's more like just do it. So anyway, I took the scenic route there to answer your question. But
Yeah, no, that's so awesome. And I just love everything about that. And yeah, and you have seen you grow so much in your videos, and it's almost like journeying with you as you learn and grow, even just with your video editing. Now you're just like next level, which has been so cool to see. But yeah, it's so good to know where you've come from and then where you are now, which is really powerful. But I saw you speak about Christian music compared to kind of like secular music. And one thing you said that was different about Christian music is that it was intentional. What do you mean by that?
Okay, in secular music, I'm not saying that secular music doesn't have intent. I'm pretty sure that you'll find music where an artist has some kind of feeling and an expression, something that they want to get out, and they write the lyrics first, and then add the melodies and add all the musical components to it to really perform the message and have the song be more than just something you can just like dance to, but something that you can even adopt as part of your like everyday life. I have theme music, like for like when I want to clean, I have my music that's meant for cleaning, And what I find with Christian music is that I feel like every song has a purpose to it, either to let people know that they're protected, or let people know that they're strong and that they have a God that is with them always, or it's from the listener's perspective, singing to God, thanking God. So it's very intentional in that way.
Yeah, awesome. And I kind of like heard you kind of moving on for that and expanding on that. I feel like some songs like So Will I and As You Find Me kind of impact you on a deeper level, because I guess it meant more to you. And I guess that's what you're talking about when it's intentional. And saying that, what are some areas that you'd like to see, I guess, worship bands really explore that would, I guess, mean more to you? If that makes sense to you.
Yeah. I think music is an emotional language. and it's also a spiritual language, more than just putting any words together, because there's some songs that are sort of, for the lack of a better word, like cheesy in the lyrics. What I enjoy personally, not that they're writing music for my taste, but what I like is songs that have lyrics that don't give you all the answer. They leave room for the listener's imagination to fill in those little gaps.
Wow.
Much like in So Will I. What got me in So Will I, no, I'm sorry, not So Will I. As You Find Me is, obviously, besides the fact that Tulele has like an amazing voice,
Hmm.
was the fact that the music was supporting the story that he was telling. And when it was building up, I was thinking that the instruments were building up and were about to go into like a peak. But what they did was my imagination was being led upward, but then suddenly the music dropped, and all you heard was that little rim on the drum, and it was so unexpected that it left all this room of like vulnerability for me, and it completely got to a place in me that was just left wide open, which I think is like, well, my spirit, it was left wide open. So I would like to see music explore that a little bit more, to be more intentional in the sense, not just with lyrics, but to be more intentional and say, okay, these are the words, this is how the melody is going to go, but we need these instruments to help support that story. For example, on So Will I, if you put on headphones, you'll be able to hear a guitar that's almost like a, make it like a whale sound, but it has a really beautiful effect on it that makes it sound like you're in outer space as it's singing about galaxies being formed. So the music and the sound effects are sort of like well, it's sound design, really. What it is, it's just
Yeah.
more sound design to give to allow the instruments to speak to the part of the human being that doesn't understand words. It speaks in emotions, and it speaks in sound.
Yeah, that's awesome. And what I love is like you're quite a visual person, and what you're explaining is almost like painting an image. Like it's not just lyrics alone, but these things all complement each other, and it helps you express what you're feeling through this image that it's giving. And I love that because God meets you where you're at, and no matter who you are, you're gonna, I guess, see it in a different way or hear it in a different way. And that's what I love, that you're encouraging people to really see like what is this image that's been painted for you, and how is God speaking to you through this, and you're really encouraging that. And so I guess oh, sorry, what were you gonna say?
No, sorry. It's because you froze for a second there. But I wanted to just wanted to point out that to a lot of people, I think what they're starting to discover is that music is not just a sound thing.
Yeah.
I think for a really long time we hear, because it's a radio, the radio doesn't have pictures in it. It's not a thing that you can touch, and that's why concerts are really like important, because you could see the artist, but you can't see the music really, it's just mostly sound, that you're hearing. This is why like most secular artists have all these light shows and screens in the background with, flashing images and stuff, because they want to add that visual aspect of it, but they're giving you the visuals. Another beautiful thing is that music creates visuals within you, in your own mind's eye, in your own imagination, that speaks to you. That's like your language, that your own unique language. So if I'm seeing images, it's one thing. That's your language, where you want to, the images that you're trying to have me focus on or portray onto me. But there's a whole different imagery that's going on within me that makes the music much, like, a whole lot more beautiful. And that's why I'm saying that lyrics and sound design play an important role, because now I'm not just hearing the music, I'm seeing the music and I'm feeling the music on so it's stacked, it's layered.
That's so good. That's really awesome. And I guess kind of talking about this is what you're already doing. You're encouraging our community to really get into music that they might not have listened to before, and see it in a new way. So I guess what is your goal with YouTube? Do you have like an end goal, or is it kind of a developing goal? What does your goal look like for what you want to do with your platform
now? I honestly don't know. I mean, the only goal that I could say that I'm beginning to set is to just put out some positivity out in the world. That's it. Like, honestly, I've noticed, you know, I don't have to tell you, you turn on the news and it's just negative, 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 negative. Before I started the channel, I would actually go on Facebook, and to my followers, my friends and family, I would just do like these live jam sessions where I will just ahead of time, I would tell people, hey, grab your coffees, your teas, or your tequila, or whatever you want to drink, your water, and join me for just like a small moment where we're going to forget about the whole COVID thing, and I'm going to sing for you. We're going to have a conversation, and we're just going to just forget about that for a little bit. And so I would play and sing for them. Shout out to Della, who's like my biggest supporter on Facebook, and Alicia. But I would just go on there and have a chat, and you know, I'd play my songs, and then I'd break the lyrics down for them. I'm like, isn't that song so beautiful? Like, how come we don't write music like that anymore? And I remember, and we would just share stories, and people would tell me stories like, oh, my dad loved that song. So we were actually, you know, having a conversation back and forth. And so now that that platform has grown even more, that is my goal, is just to spread positivity, to have people feel good when they come to the channel, that's why it's important when I invite people, when I'm premiering the videos, like if you hit the bell notification, you'll be notified when a video is going to premiere. So I don't just upload it, I schedule it to a specific time so that I can sit with you before it premieres, and people are saying hi to me, and they're expressing how much they love the channel, and I'm actually, you know, trying to respond to everybody. You know, sometimes it's like 100 and something people like live on the chat with me, but as the video is premiering and I'm reacting in the video, I'm also mentioning little things that I didn't mention in the video, so people are like, oh, that's really cool. And then I invite everybody to Instagram. And as you know, Instagram, I do the polls. People vote for the song that they want to hear next, or I allow them to request, or I'll go into the messages and I'll respond to as many people as I can, because I want to be connected to people. I wanted people to feel connected. And I know that some people out there are you know, just in their room, just like much like I am, and they're online, but no one's really connecting with them. And so when I respond to them, they're like, oh man, like I didn't even think you were just going to take the time, and thank you so much for responding. And suddenly, like, that it ignites something different within them that allows them to maybe go out in the world and be nicer, instead of, you know, being reserved and nobody loves me, nobody cares about me. But now they go out there and be like, cool, I was acknowledged, I feel great, and now I'm gonna walk, you know, through life with a little bit more of a positive feel. And so that's my main goal.
That is honestly so good and so powerful. And I just literally want to thank you for that, because what we lack in this world is love, and as Christians, that's what we're called to do, is love people. And as you said, we're trying to create online content here at our youth group, because we kind of want to, you know, there is a lot of negative stuff on social media, and as you said, then they're not being connected with, and so we want to, you know, connect with them and provide something that will put positivity in their life, put love in their life, and peace in their life, and really reach them in that way. So yeah, I just want to thank you for the positivity you're spreading, and creating a place where people can come to and feel loved and accepted and safe, and literally be together with other people. Because at our church, our vision is transforming lives together, and some of our values is we are better together. And I think that's just so powerful, that you created a community, and it's almost like a family, I would say, because you get the regulars coming. You probably even recognize some regular names. Well, you shouted out a couple on your Facebook. And now you've created a family where people are like, I don't even know these people, they're overseas, but I know them because they're here every time, and we're connecting. And so just thank you for that. That's just so awesome.
Yeah, thank you for being a part of that. I mean, you know, it's not just me creating the community. The community is all of us together, and that's what's beautiful.
Yeah, so good. And I guess just to finish off, what I'd love to do is kind of hear about your story and where you came from, and I guess where you are now. And so, because I think it's important to hear about people's testimonies and stories to inspire people who are going through similar things, or like similar pathways, to inspire them to keep going, to keep pushing, and really people can, I guess, like I could say one thing to someone, And one person might love it and like really connect with that, but then another person won't because it wasn't relevant to them. And that's what I love about hearing more and more stories and more testimonies, is that more we can reach more people and more people can be connected with that. So with that said, I just love to hear about your story and your experience with God. And yeah.
Okay. Well, I had my experience with God was I was on a road, and then I went off road for a little while, and then I came back. Okay, so I was raised Catholic. I was raised in the city of Compton, Catholic, with a Catholic family. And sorry, the light is like the sun is like hitting my face. So I don't know if you can
Probably
still
God.
see me. Yeah, probably like yes. Okay, so all right, I'll tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was raised Catholic. I had an experience where at age 16, my grandfather passed away, and my grandfather was my only father figure. You know, really, I didn't grow up with my real father in the picture. That summer though, when I was 16, was like the most happiest slash worst summers of my life. I met my father for the first time, and just a few weeks later, my grandfather passed away, and I was kind of torn by that. My grandmother at the evening that he passed away sent me to the. Is it okay if I tell like the whole story?
Yeah. Go for it.
Yeah, okay, wonderful. So
No filters. It's all good.
awesome. So my grandmother would send me to the bakery because in Mexico the bakers they're baking all night, and sometimes to make a little bit of extra cash, a bread that's normally about this size, they'll exaggerate and make it this big and then sell it for more money, right? So just to make some extra cash in the middle of the night. So I went to the bakery, and on my way there, I'm having this conversation with the Great Spirit, and I said, God, my grandfather was the only person the only male figure in my life that truly cared for me and protected me above everything. I just want to ask you for a small favor. I said, can you please give me a sign if you agree to this? I would love it if my grandfather were to be my guardian angel to guide me through life, you know. And as soon as I finished that sentence, the lights in the entire block went off, and I grabbed onto this pole that was there nearby, and my heart was like racing. And I look over to the other block, and all the lights were on. And I look behind me, and all the lights in the previous block were on. And so it was only in this block. And then suddenly, like this warm feeling in the pit of my stomach started to spread throughout my entire body. And it wasn't really like a voice that was heard. It was the feeling itself that was speaking to me, that said to me, like, yeah, you got it. Like you have someone, like not just my grandfather, but you know, I will also protect you. And I said, okay, like I said, was that it? Was that my sign? And then boop, the lights kicked back on. And you know, I came back to the States. I never went back to Mexico for a really long time because of that. My grandma traveled over here anyway, so I didn't have to travel to her. And so I was, you know, throughout my life, like a lot of times where I was lost and I needed guidance, I'd always say like, oh, Grandpa, like I don't really know how to get around this city. Can you help me out? And then I would come to the light, and the light would go from green to yellow, and then instead of just being red, here in America it's just red, you know, and when it went to red, it started to flash. And usually when it flashes like that, it's because there's either a power outage or something, they're like fixing something somewhere, you know. And so it started to flash, and when that happens, when I see those signs, I learn to be still, and I listen, and again that feeling comes, and it was like, just turn right. And I would turn right, and I would head to the freeway, and it was like to the highway, and it was just like never fails me. So a lot of things like that would happen, and I would keep that mostly to myself. But one day I confessed this to an uncle of mine who was at the time a Jehovah's Witness, or still is. And I confessed it to him, and he said, no, that's not God. That's the devil. He's toying with you. You know, he wants you to follow him instead of following God. And so you need to be careful with that stuff. And so I was 19 at the time, playing guitar at the Catholic church, and I was confused. So I asked the priest, who's supposed to be the representative of the church, I said, is it true what my uncle said? I confessed it now to a second person, what was going on with me. And he kind of ignored the question. he mistook my curiosity, excuse me, for blasphemy and for disbelief in the church. So he started treating me differently. And one day I'm playing, in church, and I play a guitar solo. After mass, he comes up to me and he says, you know something? He goes, people are not here to worship you. They're here to worship God. And so if you ever play anything like you played here today, you and I are going to have a serious talk, and you're not going to be allowed in this church anymore. So that didn't strike me like well. So I left the church, and at that moment I was like really conflicted, because the person who was supposed to represent God completely shut me down, So because he represented him, I thought God was shutting me down. So I walked around for well over 10 years proclaiming myself as an atheist, just angry with God. I didn't want anything to do with him, and I wanted to prove to the world that he didn't exist, even though knowingly I did feel like there was something there, but I didn't know if the Catholics, the Christians, the Hindus, or whoever was right. So I went on about my business, and I went around throughout the world just looking. I didn't go through the world, but on the online world, studying, just a lot of religions, just different religions, until, I started to notice a pattern that a lot of them spoke about pretty much the same thing, just love, spreading love, but none of them like seem to practice it. A lot of them speak about the love of God, but no one seems to show us the love of God. They just seem to speak about it and point to it. But anyway, to make a long story longer, like I always say, I was meditating one day to prove that meditation was dumb. And I went into the shower, and in the shower, I finally just said, I'm really tired of this fight that I have with God. So I started speaking to him again for the first time in years, because again, like I just didn't want anything to do with the guy. And so my conversation was more or less this way. It was, hey, I'm really tired. I'm tired of fighting you. I'm tired of fighting your people. I'm tired of this battle that I have going on with you. I said, all I wanted was to get close to you. You and I had something special. And it seemed like when I needed you, you had abandoned me. And I said, but you know what? It's okay. I said, I'm tired. I'm done. You won't hear another fight from me like again, and I'm not going to fight you anymore. And so, sorry, I got to charge my phone. It's going to die.
No worries.
There it is. And so as soon as I finished that, I said, I was pretty much just surrendering. I said, I give up. If you're really there, don't come to me through another person. Don't show me a book. I just want to be like with you. And if you're there, like I know that you are, because you've approached me before, then I'm open. Like just come. And as soon as I finished that sentence, again, that warm feeling in my chest wrapped itself around me a lot more drastically than it ever had before. It was like a giant hug, and I started just sobbing like a child, because for the first time, it seemed, I was experiencing a fatherly hug. Like I said, I didn't grow up with the father. My grandfather smoked, so I never really hugged him. I did hug him, but he never really fully like embraced me. So that felt like being hugged by a father for the very first time in my life. So of course I'm like sobbing. And then that feeling again, that warmth spoke to me, and it said, okay, like, hey, like I'm really sorry that this happened. I'm sorry that life, that you felt like I wasn't there. It was like I was there, but you chose to look the other way. But I understand, and I'm sorry. And it was just like an invitation. It said, if you are serious and you want me here, I'm here, like directly. You don't have to belong to a church. You don't belong to any group of people. You belong to me. And the only thing that I'm going to ask is that I will guide you. But the only thing that I ask is that when I call you, you better answer the phone. In other words. And then from that moment, it led me to look at the Bible again, but just from an outside perspective, to extract really the messages that are embedded in the words that a man has taken down ink to paper. So I looked at it just in an entirely different light, but I still chose, because in that moment I felt like everything that was Leonardo just burned into nothingness. Like that somebody pointed out that was my baptism, that I was in the shower, I was in water, and the old me died, and the new me was born, right? So that was like, they said that was my baptism. So I was baptized by the Great Spirit, I guess. And so, you know, just this life happened. So I forgot about that moment. And I was still sort of not fully angry, but still sort of questioning a lot of things. But having met this young lady that I'm with now, hi Chiquita, Erika, um, she was just very patient with me, and she wasn't pushing what she believed in onto me. She was very understanding of what I believed, and I opened up about, you know, I started to open up about what I believe. She was very encouraging, and so yeah, so here I am for the first time, like in a very long time, being open about my spirituality.
Wow, that's so awesome. And I guess that story is a huge encouragement for all of us Christians as well, because one of my biggest values as a youth pastor and for my youth group is that it wouldn't just be the words I say on platform, but the importance is the way I walk and the way I act off the platform,
Right.
and not my words I use. I want them to see the way I live, that is a life, you know, imitating Jesus. And loving
Right.
people. I want them to see that through my actions and not my words. As much as words are important, and we're still going to, you know, speak and inspire them to live like Jesus and to pursue God. I think it's so important that we live by our walk and
Yeah.
by the things we do, and that's why I love that story so much.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
I think it's an encouragement for all of us to walk like that. Not to be, I guess, two-faced in a way. Like, yeah, it'd be pretty bad, you know, if
Yeah.
you're saying one thing and then doing another. So,
Yeah, it's challenging. It definitely is challenging. What the conversation that I think I've been having with people a lot often lately has been just that you get in the way. You are getting in the way of the love of God. You know, it wants to express itself through you, but you feel like you know better because you have this thing called free will. And what you know, I don't mean to preach here, you
no,
know,
go for it.
but
Go for it.
what I've found is that, you know, like with this YouTube channel, it was like, get out of my way. Your job is to do the physical stuff. You set up the camera, you react to the video, you edit the video, you upload it, but the rest, the message, the touching of people's hearts, the encouraging people to pick up a new instrument, the encouraging people their faith, the encouragement for people who aren't who don't have faith, for the encouragement of them looking into Christian music, you leave that completely up to me. Your only job is to sort of get out of the way. You make the video and then you get out of the way. You don't worry about the numbers. It's not going to grow out of anything you do. It's going to be fully just me touching people.
Yeah.
And that's it. You know, and I think a lot of people will get to the point where they're like, yeah, like when somebody says, hey, oh, dude, you're awesome. You know, it's like, oh, thanks. You know, and like suddenly it's Leo, you know, being awesome. No, I tell him, I say, well, thanks, but it's not me. It's the Great Spirit, you know, and oh, okay, because I also have to kind of remember that. But anyway, to go back to my point about getting out of your way, it's just people need to. I feel that it's important to introspect, to go within yourself and to question yourself, like who am I? What do I want? And what's the difference between what I want versus what the Great Spirit or what God wants from me? And if it matches, it's gonna manifest. But if it's contradicting, you have to sort of compromise and say, okay, is it really important for me? Like people who want to sing, do I want to sing because I want to be famous and live that lifestyle, or do I want to sing because I really just have this passion? I want people to hear my voice, and when they hear my voice, I want them to feel good about themselves. I want to empower people. And if that's the case, if it's giving first and receiving last, then it'll work out.
Wow, and that's so
Give
powerful.
first.
Yeah, and then there's that verse that says, "Your will be done," talking about God's will being done.
Yeah.
And it's so important because even as pastors, we can kind of get in these spaces where we're like, "Oh yeah, I did a good job," but really it's not by our might or our power, but it's by Him. And so it's important to kind of humble ourselves and come back to that place where we're like, you know, it's not about us. It's about what He's doing. The outcome's not on us either. You know, he can use us to love people and to help connect people with Him. But at the end of the day, it's about him connecting with people.
Right.
And that's what I love. That's so good. But Leonardo, thank you so much for this conversation.
Thank you.
It's been a privilege getting to know you as well, and calling you a friend. I love that. And and I have one last request before we go.
Sure.
I've noticed you have a little catchphrase at the end of your videos where you say, "I'm sending you peace, love, and music." And I was just wondering if you could say, "Inspire youth, I'm sending you love, peace, and music," just to close this off in the perfect Leonardo fashion.
All right. Youth people, how do you address them?
Our youth is called Inspire Youth.
Inspire youth?
Inspire Youth, yeah.
All right. So Inspire Youth, your friend Leonardo Torres sends you love, sends you peace, and sends you music.
Awesome.
You're making it brighter right through the gray.